Boxing Ego here. If you like this video, make sure you hit the like button and also subscribe to the channel and hit the bell icon on the top of your screen to get notified when the latest new content drops. 1. Gennady Golovkin reveals that he thought, once he heard about Canelo's positive test, his fight may be in danger of being canceled. Stay tuned. What up, Fight World? It's your boy Ego, and I'm back with some more boxing. Make sure you smash the like button. Also, subscribe to the channel for the latest and greatest in boxing. If you want to become part of the gang notification gang, please hit the bell icon. Shout out to the super chats, channel donations, the Venmo donations, and the Patreon family. We working. May 5th, it goes down. Canelo versus Triple G Part 2. Obviously, everyone's heard by now that follows boxing. Canelo tested positive for having Clenbuterol, trace elements of a substance called Clenbuterol. There's an argument as to how it got in his system. Canelo and his team, his camp, have claimed that it's from tainted, contaminated meat, which has been an issue in Mexico. Certain farms, I guess they inject the cattle or whatever they do, and it may show up in drug tests if you ingest the meat. You know what I mean? Other people think it might be something more foul, a cover-up, masking agents, something more sinister. Shout out to ESPN. They got an interview with Golovkin, and he was giving his thoughts. Also, Abel Sanchez. And I'm just going to paraphrase here. Golovkin was basically just saying he was disappointed. He was like, no, it's either one of two things. And the direct quote was, Golovkin says, Canelo, he tests positive, that's it. Only two results. Either it's yes or no, positive or not. I heard positive, that's it. First time I heard it, I thought, oh really, maybe the fight's getting canceled. It's a problem. He keeps going on, and you could tell he's visually, you could see that Golovkin is kind of upset with the whole circumstance. And he has every right to be. Because, I mean, in a high profile fight like this, you don't want, that would be foul. If, like, it doesn't look like the fight's going to get canceled, but if you were about to be in a high profile event and your opponent tests positive and the fight did get canceled, that's horrible. Plus, if you're clean yourself, you don't want to be in there with someone who possibly was cheating. You know what I'm saying? So I think Golovkin was just, you could tell he was visibly upset because he kept saying it was terrible for the sport, things like that. Golovkin said, my first reaction was, really? Are you serious? I know Canelo, he's a good boxer, you know. I believe he doesn't need medical or drugs like that. Right now, test positive is terrible for the sport. I respect my sport. I love clean sport. For me, this is not a laboratory. It's natural stuff. If you don't believe in natural stuff, you use medicals. Now he tests positive. It's crazy. And Golovkin, sometimes in interviews, maybe the language barrier with English not being his first language, sometimes he doesn't get too detailed, but he got pretty detailed about this. He was like, hey, no, it's not a laboratory. Like he's saying this is a boxing. I want a clean sport. I love a clean sport. He got pretty detailed, so I do believe Golovkin was upset. Abel Sanchez also said in his interview with ESPN, Triple G was disappointed more in Canelo, in his team, than he was, but also Canelo. He says it was disappointment because you're putting a big anticipated event like this in jeopardy simply by being careless, right? And Sanchez brought up a good point. He says, I'm disappointed that Canelo, Team Canelo, I'm disappointed with the fact that his people are meat cutters. His people are meat market owners. They're butchers. So in case some of you guys didn't know, I think it's Chepo Reynoso, you know what I mean, the older one, of the Reynoso family that trains Canelo. I don't know if he's still a butcher, but he was formerly a butcher for sure, right? And that's what Abel Sanchez is talking about. Like, you're of Mexican descent and you're a butcher, so you should know. And Abel Sanchez goes on to say, I'm disappointed that they wouldn't talk to Canelo about not ingesting meat in Mexico because it has been a problem. So just disappointment in that fact. Canelo should have been smarter than that too, but I blame more his people than him right now. I'm hoping the experts, whoever they are, VADA, the commission, do their investigation and come up with a result. For me to say one way or the other, whether it was on purpose or not, I'm a coach, right? So if you guys want to read it in its entirety, then definitely do it. I think the fight will still happen. I think there's so much money tied up in this fight. It's anticipated. They have a venue booked. So unless if Canelo, if he failed with something that couldn't be excused with a tainted, contaminated meat type of excuse, like let's say he had like stanozol or HGH in the system, then I think the fight would get closed. But we've seen that as far as the Clenbuterol is concerned, Eric Morales, his fight with Danny Garcia, that rematch was allowed to go through. Francisco Vargas. So they're gonna have to find something, because I understand Team Triple G's their point. I mean, you don't want to get the short end of the stick and potentially it's just the Clenbuterol. I don't know, maybe since it happened to a high profile fight, maybe we can do something. I don't know exactly what, because I don't specialize in tainted meat, so I don't know how you could trace it. Like, will hair samples or different things show when the meat was ingested, or how much? Is there a certain percentage that if you have this amount, then it clearly came from tested meat? Because the human body can only consume a certain amount of food. You know what I mean? Especially a guy who weighs 160, 175. I mean, there's only so much he's gonna eat. So there has to be some kind of way, because this is a very convenient excuse, and we don't want to start opening the floodgates for various excuses to be accepted. Because if you accept one, then you have to at least consider other excuses. Like, hey, I was in Jamaica and there was something in their jerk chicken, or this, I went to Dubai and there's something wrong with the meat. You know what I mean? Like, we can't just, then it'll get to the point where there's no point to even do drug tests, if depending on how good your excuse is, it's going to be acceptable. You know what I mean? Or if that's the case, if Clenbuterol, take it off the ban list, if they're going to just allow people to have it in their system. You know what I'm saying? Like, something has to give. This is not my specialty field, so I don't know exactly what could be done. I don't know how much testing costs or how many ways you can detect it, but they definitely need to research this whole Clenbuterol issue to make sure there's better protocol, because again, it just becomes a convenient excuse, whether you're guilty or innocent. Especially if you're guilty, then you can, oh, hey, I was in Mexico. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know. Like I said, I wish they'd let the public in a little bit more. Like, does Team Canelo have to produce receipts to restaurants? Like, what kind of investigation is being done? What are the steps? What are the protocol? You know what I mean? And like I said, it gives Team Triple G a lot of clout right now, because they're not being looked at in a negative light, because this is not something, they're victims in this situation. They didn't do anything wrong. You know what I mean? And Canelo, it's cast doubt on him and his team. Like I said, you can't really blame. Some people are going to be like, shut up, Abel, he talks too much. But he doesn't have to shut up with this situation, because at the end of the day, what he's saying is true. He says Canelo, his team, they're butchers. They have a meat market. So you have to know the game. I mean, like, for me, I haven't been to Mexico in a while, but I've been there several times throughout my life. And it's a well-known thing that the quality of water, drinking water in Mexico, is not that great. You know what I mean? The filtration systems or whatever, not that great. So every time I go to Mexico, I know off top, I can drink whatever alcohol I want or whatnot. But if I get dehydrated or after the club and I want to get some water, don't drink out of fountains. Don't drink tap water. You know what I mean? You get a bottled water. That's how I've always been informed and told, because some people drink the water who are from out of town or whatever, and they end up getting ill and getting sick sometimes because of, again, you guys can Google it. Look at the water, the filtration system or whatever it is. Certain people get sick and stuff when they come from out of town and drink the water. So little tidbits like that. And if Canelo, and he's from Guadalajara, he's from Mexico, so it seems like you would know, like, you know what I mean? Just like I said, one of those things. If you know that from being your home country, then you have to know the implications. Like, yo, see, because here's another thing. You got to look at it like this. I don't know if Canelo has a residence in Mexico. He probably does, you know what I mean? He's a multimillionaire, but he lives in the States. He lives in San Diego. You get what I'm saying? I seen him, he was at like a soccer game or something, because I seen him with Bill Clinton, and I seen pictures. So you have to understand this. Canelo's like primary residence is not in Mexico right now. It's in San Diego. Correct me if I'm wrong. So that means even though you're from there, you're visiting Mexico. So you're only going to be there for a certain amount of time. And to my knowledge, from doing some research on Clenbuterol and stuff, they said it doesn't even really stay in your system long. So maybe, I'm not saying you can't go to Mexico. That's cool. There's no problem with going to Mexico. But maybe since you have a signed, sealed, and delivered fight in May that was announced and had a venue and stuff, if you are going to visit, maybe you should steer away from certain things if you know that's the case. You know what I'm saying? That's just kind of how I see it. Or, like I said, do it your way. And if you fail a test and now people are going to use this as a scapegoat, then that's the end result. You know what I mean? And I just don't prefer that in high profile fights, because let's say Canelo's 100% clean. Now you're still going to have people that if he wins, they will use this as a reason to cast doubt or explain the victory over Gennady Golovkin. So it's just one of the worst things that can happen in a high profile fight, especially a pay-per-view. Oh, I wasted my money, Canelo cheated. Even if he's 100% innocent, that's what some people will use because it's all too convenient. So like I said, Triple G, he visibly looked kind of bothered with this whole situation. He says, like, we're boxers. This is a dangerous sport, basically, not a laboratory where if you don't have it naturally, you should be concocting it through medicals and medicines and stuff like that. So Abel and Triple G brought up some good points. Link in the description. Let me know your thoughts. Drop it in the comment section. Make sure you smash the like button as always. Hate, comment, and subscribe. Till next video is Ego signing off. So if you enjoyed this video and want more content like this on the channel, you can show your appreciation by going to the PayPal donate button or the YouTube support button. And you can donate any amount that you feel is equivalent to the value of this video. Much more to come. Thank you guys for your support. Boxing Ego, the future of boxing.